Episode 266 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded December 27th, 2019. The best of TV 2019!
It's weird to hear
Episode 266 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded.
Keep going. It's weird to hear
December
the
27th,
sweet jams of Greg Amani Smith live in my ears. I'm not used to that.
It sounds good, right?
It threw me off. I'm not used to it.
I was just about to ask if we could possibly get a Christmas version of our theme music, like some sleigh bell action.
It's just that, but us ringing the sleigh bells.
Yes.
We just have to ring them live.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm down for that. I'm good for that.
Hey guys, I'm back.
God.
It's
Where's
been
Grant?
It's been a while.
Is this the secret room where you've been lost for?
It's like, guys, help! How do I get out of here? It's just me and Baby Yoda. We're trapped.
He told Grant that all of that equipment is hooked up to stuff and left him in there 6 months ago.
He's been trapped on the moon of
He's
Io.
been producing podcasts.
What does that mean? Folks, it's been a while.
It has.
We are doing YouTube Live.
Yeah, this is a new skill you learned on with your other dad over at Who Pods the Watchman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, my other dad?
Your other dad, your other parent.
My other daddy?
Your other daddy.
Is that what?
I've definitely misunderstood the relationship between you and Clay, I guess.
Yeah, we're recording here in the Permanent Record Video Studio, and that means we have a camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. And yeah, we want to welcome you guys, because we're going to be doing a live episode where we are talking about the best of TV 2019.
Yeah, we usually do this a little earlier. We can legitimately say this is the best, unless something drops tomorrow, for example, like a new season of Letterkenny or something.
Yes,
we've watched everything.
Yeah, is happening at 11 p.m. tonight on Hulu. Get another season of Letterkenny, but that's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
Why couldn't they have waited just a couple days so I could legitimately put
Hush
it on my
your mouth.
I want my best of 2020 list to include Letterkenny. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna cheat. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be on there.
I think they're renewed like in an Always Sunny level. Like, here's another 10 seasons.
Oh, thank God.
So I assume there'll be, another one drop ahead of the live show.
More Letterkenny, always a good thing.
Yeah.
So what did you guys do with your holiday? What have you guys been up to?
Well, as we discussed off mic, I was out on the streets with my End is Nigh sign playing TV Dudes live for people on South Congress.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
I just had a boombox up over my head. People really seemed to enjoy it. At least I think that's what they were screaming at me.
Is that what you guys were talking about while I was fucking with the cameras
That
over
is
here?
what we were talking about. Yes.
I got a group of friends together, and we all lit torches and formed a mob and went to try to find that person that has measles.
One case of
Any
measles.
Oscar? Yeah.
It's probably one of my sick, disgusting kids. But that's because I'm an anti-vaxxer. Woo!
More seriously, I did time with both families, my family, my wife's family. Drove up to Dallas real fast and then came right back and had really a good Christmas. I did a lot of worked a lot.
I drove up to Dallas at the normal speed, and then went slightly further to Paris, Texas, and saw my family. And
How fast did you drive to Paris, Texas? Did you kick in the overdrive there?
No, no. I mean, at a speed that meant that we were going to see loved ones, but not at a speed that meant that we were excited to go to Paris.
That fits.
So I haven't done this in a while with you guys. I'm not really sure how everything works.
Oh, your sex tape, Grant.
Do we all have the same TV show that we all liked? And is it all the Watchmen one that is just
Yes,
for me
so
to self-promote?
We're gonna
my
start
podcast?
we're gonna start at the top of the list, and we're gonna say shows at the same time.
Yeah.
And until we stop jinxing.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
we're gonna fist fight.
I misunderstood. I thought we were going to start at the bottom of my top 75 shows I watched this year and go up.
Yes, and Kyle sent us that 1,001 shows.
Yeah, the heat index. So yeah, we're gonna be here a while. Everybody get some snacks and hang in.
Things have changed.
Grant's not here to keep us on a leash anymore.
Oh my God! So are you
It's
guys
all puns
ready?
and lists now.
You guys ready to go ahead and get into this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh wait, I'm gonna change graphics here. Zoom, like that.
What?
Yeah, did you see that? And
Super
then
fancy.
we're gonna go zoom. Oh, there it is on the screen. There's
There's
got to be a more.
me.
There's got to be a more graceful way to do this. Shut up, guys. All right. So, who do we start with, Randy?
So let's do. We did a consensus top 4. We all decided we could agree on our top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to start with that? Just start with the number 1, or we gonna go back? We went backwards.
Let's go backwards. We got to build up to the top.
Okay. All right. So then I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with my top my number 15, and I won't spend a lot of time on these like top 15 outside of the 10s. But I just want to give a shout out to Veronica Mars season 4.
That also made my top 15.
Where's it on? Where is it? It's in your top 15?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a hard time ranking past that point. Things start to feel like a tie across genres. I can't compare apples to oranges. But
I should say I had a hard time cutting this list down at all because there's stuff outside the top 15 that I think is definitely could be someone's favorite show of the year easily.
Yeah,
Like it was a good year for TV.
there's a lot of fantastically well-made television that I'm just not always in the mood for. For me, I mean, I know a lot of people were looking forward to Veronica Mars and they got super mad at it, and it
Yeah.
probably dropped well off their top list and probably onto their shit list.
Well, especially since after that big shock ending, we're
Yeah.
not getting a season 5. I can understand where that would drop for people, but I thought they did a great job bringing it back. I thought the tradition of having a down ending is sort of a Veronica Mars tradition at this point.
I was very sad about the down ending, but I also didn't swear Firefly was dead to me after the Serenity movie. So I
Fair.
don't know. Maybe I accept things like this differently than a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you just let it go a little easier.
I tend to accept that something that happened in the fictional universe just happened. Like, I'm sad my grandmother died, but I don't get to go change it. So,
right.
like,
You're not mad
if-
at the writers.
Yeah, so like if something happens in a show, unless it is just egregiously out of character for the whole or out of tone for the whole show, and
Yeah.
this wasn't.
Yeah, I thought Veronica Mars season 4, the Patton Oswalt's role was great.
Oh man, yeah.
Enrico Colantani and J.K. Simmons had a great relationship in there. Of course, Kristen Bell was amazing. Is playing an adult version of Veronica Mars.
Hold up. J.K. Simmons was in it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
he plays,
All right.
he plays like an ex-con who's working for one of the rich guys now, Big Dick Casablancas.
It's a good name.
Oh, shit, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Every time
I
someone
forgot
says
about
that.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
best
yeah.
name ever. Yeah, I thought they did a great job. Of course, detective fiction set on a beach. It's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a great job and definitely worth being included in the top 15.
Yeah.
What about you, Les? What else on your list?
Oh, let's see. Into the Fucking World. Season 1 was amazing and definitely made people's top lists, but season 2 made mine because, similar to a discussion Grant and I were having off mic about Watchmen, this was not a show that necessarily screamed. If they went either way, I could see it. If there had not been a season 2, or if there had, I would have been fine with what I got. But the season 2 that they gave me for Into the Fucking World deepened the world in a way that was unexpected and deftly handled, where this could have just been really unnecessary at every move. They introduced a new character that I really liked that didn't drag it. It didn't feel like a Cousin Oliver moved in. Which just ended up being
So
the epilogue I wanted for this show.
I didn't get a chance to finish it just because it's been crazy this last month. But I watched the first 3 or 4 because you guys were so enthusiastic about it. And yeah, it's really, really good. It's not on my top 15 just because I didn't get a chance to finish it. But I understand the love for it. Grant, you really liked the first season of this?
I did. I thought it was excellent. And the only reason I haven't gone on, well, no, that's not true. The other day, I queued it up and I started watching the intro trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a melancholy show.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember there's a lot of humor and cleverness in it.
But it's
But
also
now that
hard. Yeah.
I've seen the first episode or first season, I'm just like, I know the tone overall that I'm going to
Yeah.
get, and I have to be like really in the mood for me to kind of pull the trigger on that. And right now, I'm in a happy adventure Mandalorian kind of mood with everything.
That
There's
makes
a-
sense. That
There's
makes
a lot of
sense.
stuff that's on everybody's top list this year, and this happens every year that isn't on mine yet because like I just haven't found the time that I want to sit down and watch Chernobyl.
Right.
And, or David Makes Man was jaw dropping. The episodes that I've seen, and I've got the rest of it queued, and I just haven't finished it out because it's a hard show to watch at times.
It's interesting you mentioned Chernobyl because that's also I want to watch it, but as what Grant was saying, it was such a dark subject material. Everybody says it's great. I'm sure it will wind up on my top list. I just can't make myself watch it yet.
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and say Chernobyl as part of my top 15. My list is not really like in a numerical order,
Right.
minus the top four. But I'll say that Chernobyl was such a powerful watch, and
Mhm.
I'm not sure if this is skirting that line between TV and mini series because it is a mini series. I'm not sure we're gonna get a Chernobyl 2.
I
to
hope
God.
not.
Can you imagine? But it was such a compelling and like well crafted show. I think it's only got like 6 episodes, but each one just drew me in, and it's so bleak and dire, but how they make all these characters like so identifiable and you just are immediately rooting for them. I thought it was just masterfully done. I I loved it, and I don't want to go and rewatch it. It's one of those that's like never want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
But man, it was fantastic. What about you, Randy? What's next on your list?
All right, so next time I list the show, I don't think either of you guys watch, which is Atypical. Season 3 of that one hit. It is about a high functioning autistic kid named Sam, his younger sister, his parents who are sort of going through. It's Michael Rappaport and Bridget Fonda, not Bridget Fonda.
No.
Oh hell, it's the other one from
The other
Single White Female.
Female.
Yes, the other Single White Female, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and it's really good. It's really heartwarming. It's really funny at times. And I thought season 3, where Sam goes off to college and his sister is dealing with a burgeoning sort of awakening that she is bisexual and has a relationship with this other girl who is sort of closeted, and the reconciliation, not reconciliation between the parents and the affair that happened in the first season. It's all really good family drama stuff. It's all really funny. I think it does a really good job of exploring what it's like for a non-neurotypical kid, and it's always great for me, and I really was happy to see it, and that's on Netflix.
I've seen the first season and a half,
Mhm.
and really liked Atypical. I kind of like your Into the Fucking World example
Yeah.
earlier. Like I didn't get to watch season 3, or haven't watched season 3, and so it
Just
didn't
ran
make
out
my
of time,
list.
yeah.
But people can go back and watch our interview from ATX Fest this past year with the sister and the burgeoning relationship, which I think at the time that hadn't.
It hadn't.
They were still rivals on the show.
Right.
Like they were still rivals on the show, and but you can go back and watch that interview. And also, I think we talked to one of the producers who discusses some of the back and forth that they had between season 1 and season 2 about representation, using more non-neurotypical actors,
Mhm.
and just kind of how they took the criticisms that they got from the first season, and instead of getting defensive about it, actually tried to address some of it.
Yeah. Les, what else is on your list?
One that's on mine that I don't think is on y'all's. I loved the reboot of Dark Crystal, and this is something that could have gone really, really wrong.
So many people apparently loved that.
Yeah, and I get for the main complaint I see when people don't like it is it's hard to get into watching puppets.
That's
like,
Yes.
I couldn't quite plug into it.
I get not. I mean, I don't want to watch CG animation very often. I don't care how good the story is. There's something about it that I have a hard time plugging into. Anime style often doesn't plug me in.
Agreed on anime.
And so like I definitely get that I have a soft spot for Muppet and Dark Crystal puppetry, so that I can even go back. I love the old slow '80s movie that birthed it all, which by today's standards I don't know how many kids really dig. But Age of Resistance was awesome. It introduced a super creepy device that is not like. They've got these little spider things that crawl up on the sides of your face and take over your mind, and then you're part of like a large hive army, and they speak through you, and it's friggin' terrifying, and like a Wrath of Khan eels like earwig kind of creepiness. Like I like, okay, that's the creepiest thing I've ever seen a puppet do, like hands down. But it's not just villainous. Like it gets used later for not just a pure creep factor thing, which makes it one of the coolest plot devices I've ever seen, and it's in a fucking puppet show.
Yeah.
There's a puppet show within a puppet show that I think is up for an award right now. That Javi Guerrero Marxwash actually wrote that episode, where they do a puppet show inside the Dark Crystal. Like 2 Dark Crystal puppets have a puppet show about the origin of it, and people can again go listen to our interview with the whole writers' room.
You know, that begs a question, Les. We asked what you did over the holidays. how many hundreds of interviews did you do over Christmas break?
Not that many. It's actually hard to schedule people over Christmas. Weirdos.
Because people should definitely go through our archives. You did a ton of interviews
Yes.
this year, and I'm still going through. I just listened to the one you did with the writer of Rogue One, which is really good.
Yes. Gary Whitta.
But yeah, the one of the bits of content that we have on TV Dudes is a billion interviews that Les has done with various
there's a few
people.
hundred.
All right.
Couple hundred.
Top 10 interviews you got to do.
Felicia Rashad was this year.
Yeah.
That was the whole David Makes Man cast, and I don't want to shortchange the producers and the rest of the cast of that show, but I'm sorry. Everyone at that table, y'all know that I was there to talk to Felicia Rashad. Like, I was talking to y'all so that I could get my breath and keep my shit together so that I could then ask her another question. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
And that was great. The Letterkenny principal cast was great. The Veronica Mars principal, Enrico, and Jason Doering and Percy Diggs were great. Got to meet, this was at Comic Con for That's My Entertainment, but I got to meet Kevin Conroy, the voice
really
of,
awesome.
of Batman, which was just awesome.
Now, wait, Randy.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Kevin Conroy actually plays live action Batman
He
in
does.
the
in
big
Crisis-
In the
crossover
Crisis,
thing, right?
He does. Yep.
Ah, was that good?
It was okay.
Okay.
I wish they had done something different with him, but yes, overall Crisis has been good.
They should have animated him.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and mention a show that maybe won't get much love otherwise.
Okay.
But Game of Thrones, I thought, did finally wrap up their season.
It did that.
I thought there were some good episodes to this, some fantastic moments in this final season. They had a lot of pressure put on them to deliver, and I understand that for a lot of people, Randy, maybe they didn't deliver fully.
No, I was one of the people who was on board with the finale. I thought it was fine.
Yeah?
I didn't hate it.
It's the only episode I've seen.
Is it really?
I've seen like the first 4 of the first season, and then I've seen the total finale.
I think that the thing is, a lot of people. I've been won over by people's. I rarely am won over by the haters, but in this particular case, people had a lot to say about like what went wrong with it and how some of it didn't make any sense. I'm like, you know what? They're kind of right. Like it didn't bother me personally. I actually wound up liking the finale quite a bit, but it did feel like, oh, this was not as good as I was hoping for.
It doesn't necessarily give the feel good victory win that maybe a lot of people like you're saying wanted.
Yeah.
But in a way, in like a let chaos reign kind of way, I was like, yes, turn her into, just have her flip and go crazy, like that evilness that they've been hinting was a possibility, and maybe she could change herself against this. I like that they just embraced it in a way. Because it just turned and became like this nightmare scenario.
Yeah, it did.
And they had her just burning everything forever.
I think they gave short shrift to the Night King stuff a little bit. I think that it felt like they were rushing through that to get to the last bits. It definitely, the complaint I think that I most agree with is that it did feel like Game of Thrones season 8 should have been 10 episodes. I don't know why they decided to shorten it.
I would say that Game of Thrones season 7 and 8 lost their way from the original source material, and they started just going in a fan service route that was annoying me anyway.
Yeah.
So when they flipped to just being chaotic, I was at least a little bit more okay with this.
All you wanted was for bad things to happen.
That's all I ever want. Randy, what's your next pick?
All right, so next thing up on my list, as I look, is Stranger Things season 3, which I thought was a phenomenal season of TV. I thought they did a good job of. Stranger Things has got to walk that line between doing 80s homage and just doing, oh, remember when you liked Ghostbusters? And doing sort of original material. And hey, you actually like these characters and what's going on in this story. And I thought all the mall stuff, the Russian spies, was it Yuri? Who's the Russian scientist who gets
Yuri.
He was great.
Terminator references and like all of it. Yeah.
I thought, and Steve continues to be a great character. Him and Dustin, I thought they did a great job this year. I really liked the stuff with Hopper, and anytime you bring Brett Gelman in, bringing Brett Gelman in as a crazy conspiracy guy, that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, he was great.
I thought that was just a fantastic season of TV. I'm looking forward to what is, I think, the final season 4.
I think so.
Oh, really? They're only going to do 4?
I hope so. I think they need to wrap it up, and I think that that's what they had said. So I thought that was a great season of TV.
Yeah, I have a little bit of like mixed feelings. I think
Same.
that Stranger Things is like this real good comfort food TV,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but at the same time, it is one of those shows that is so frustrating because of its binge model. It is a show that I think would work so well in a week after week format.
We could all
yeah,
talk
where
about it at the water cooler and dissect it and see what this means.
exactly,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exactly, I want to be able to have the conversation with everyone else about like what happened in each episode and digest it and like theorize it. But
Yeah, and
you're
it's
not
0
wrong.
or 100. You can either have no conversation about Stranger Things, or you can talk about season 3.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It did all burn through a little too
What
fast.
was that? Star Wars wiped.
shut up.
Are we gonna talk about the Mandalorian? Oh, not till later. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and less.
I also had mixed feelings on I love Stranger Things in general, but the model of an increasingly large spider that they fight is not as appealing to me. So I want to see where they go with season 4.
A really big spider.
Huge spider. Y'all have no
The
idea.
biggest spider.
It's gonna take all the black crayons to draw it. So I have Undone on mine, which really surprised me. I am the lone person who has not gotten into BoJack Horseman. That show did not grab me. So from the creators of BoJack Horseman does not lead me to want to go see a show necessarily. And y'all saw, I think, an episode of Undone, or the first 2
I saw
episodes
two
at
at TV
ATX
Dudes,
Fest.
yeah, or ATX, yeah.
Absolutely amazing show. I love the rotoscope. It's not quite rotoscope, but I love what they're doing with the animation. I love why it has to be animated. It's another one we'll talk about Watchmen's ending, I'm sure, in a minute, but it's another one that teases an ending to the season about, is some stuff real or not. But I loved it. I absolutely loved Undone. I couldn't believe how good it
when
was.
we talked about this, you and Lisa both were super into it. And I really liked it, but it didn't rank quite as high for me. But it's fantastic TV, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember we saw the first 2 episodes at ATX
Yeah.
Fest, and I
like-
don't know.
And then I think what Randy said had stuck with me. That in the first episode he was like, "Why is this animated?"
Yeah, why was it rotoscoped?
And then in the second episode, like some shit breaks,
And you understand
you're
why,
Like, oh,
yeah.
because they're gonna have her trip out and float through a bunch of weird shit, and it would be odd if it went into like a gel or cell animation over the top of reality.
Now let me ask you a question, Les. Would this rank higher or lower if there were puppets instead of rotoscope? If they introduced weird puppet stuff later?
If the whole thing turned into like
Weird puppet
Kenneth
stuff.
Vision from 30 Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
yeah, Kenneth Vision. Yeah.
I don't think it would. I think this was the perfect.
This
way to
was
do
the right way
this.
to-
And I-
rotoscope
it
versus
hurt-
puppets?
It,
You hate to say
it's a
it.
real challenge
You
for
hate
me to
to
say
admit
that,
it.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and bring up Silicon Valley for its final season. What was this,
Ooh, boy.
season 6 or
I
something?
think it was season 6.
like that.
Season 6. And I thought that this was, it was a fun kind of conclusion. I felt like some of the characters were beginning to feel a bit tired.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of the jokes were getting worn out and wearing out their welcome. One person who never seemed to wear out their welcome for me, and that I'm going to be sad is gone, is Guilfoyle. I thought it was actually one of my favorite characters. I love what Martin Starr does with his stuff. Like watching this in comparison to like the character he was in Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I would never necessarily think that guy has versatility, but
But he
these
really
are pretty
does.
distinct the characters. And I think what that character did in his deadpan delivery is just one of the more iconic characters from that show. I love Kumail Nanjiani,
Yeah.
but I found his character really grating. Like it became really one note in a way.
I'm kind of glad that they let him just fully form into just this bastard.
Yeah.
Right.
But it did feel like y'all either have to end this show or this can't be what you do with this character.
I will say at the end, the way they paid that off, where he
Mhm.
basically his version of nobility is, look, just don't trust me. I will fuck you. I will fuck you all.
Yeah.
I loved that.
And
That was
Gilfoyle,
pretty funny.
dude, full bore alcoholic.
Yeah.
I have locked all the doors and
Yeah,
handgun and
I
with the
agree.
whiskey.
I agree with you, Grant. Camille Nanjiani's great. I love The Big Sick,
Mm.
and I thought that he didn't get to really fully develop what he can do here, but I think that they paid it off nicely at the end.
Agreed. Yeah. I think, without going into spoilers, I like what overall ended up happening for their company.
Yeah.
I thought it was very fitting for it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one other thing we should kind of mention here. We're not really, are we trying to kind of dance around spoilers or?
So far.
Because
little
I
bit.
know when we get to Watchmen, I'm going to want to talk spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil everything for Watchmen if you haven't seen it yet. But in general, we're being spoiler light. But this is the best stuff. If you haven't seen this stuff, we're not gonna spoil major stuff. But you had time. You had your time to watch it. What are you complaining about?
I'm not
Shut
going to
up.
mention that Veronica died.
Oh,
What?
he means in Riverdale.
No, he doesn't. Why, Lest? All right, Randy, what you got?
Next up on my list, and I believe this is going to be somewhere on.
Are we going into the top 10 now?
I think we might be on. Yeah, we might be in the top 10.
All right, top
Um,
10.
Oh, you know what? No, I jumped. That's what happened. I jumped.
Okay.
So I want to put one that Kyle's not here, and he would be with me on this. Modern Love on Amazon Prime.
Thought you were about to say Grand Tour. I was going to say,
did
get the
too.
fuck out.
I was like, Randy, what has he done to you?
No, Grand Tour is terrible, and I blame Kyle for every minute I wasted
They-
watching that piece of shit.
They have an underwater one now that is called Seaman.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No Grand Tour, thank you.
Yuck, yuck.
Y'all, anyone who enjoys it, God bless, but no, thank you, not for me. No, Modern Love, which is an anthology series on Amazon Prime with a fantastic cast. It's got Tina Fey and Kristen Milioti. I'm trying to remember who all. Every episode. Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
Has one of the great episodes, and every episode is sort of a love story. It's based out of a New York Times column called Modern Love, and it's this sort of there's sort of stories about love that are usually romantic, but there's familial love, there's love between a parent and kids, that kind of thing, and they're all tearjerkers. They're all really well done, and they sort of wrap it up at the end with this big sort of montage of all of it, and it was a very emotionally affecting. It was very well done TV, and it had just amazing cast, and they tackled a bunch of different themes. And there's one that's about mental illness and how that affects your dating. There's one that's about there's a gay couple adopting, which I feel like might have been based on Dan Savage's life. It's all really, really good stuff and really, really emotionally affecting, and I would definitely point people to that.
Cool. I haven't checked it out yet.
And I mean, Prime does not do a lot of stuff I like that much, but I really liked it.
Wait until Lord of the Rings comes out. You just wait.
Yeah, I'll wait for that.
Less
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
I don't think there's anything else we're going to mention on the DCU app, though the Young Justice comeback was pretty great.
Yeah,
but I don't
Young
know
Justice
if
is
that's
somewhere in my
fully
top
this year.
50.
Doom Patrol is one of the absolute favorite things that I watched all year. It's so purposely, willfully weird. Just gleefully going for it every single episode, and I loved it. It's the show that from week to week I really looked forward to when it would drop each week, and every single episode there was a moment where I stopped and went, I can't friggin' believe this is on my television. How did they get this story pitch like through everybody? Just absolutely fantastic. I think it has a season 2 by some weird miracle, which
does,
I
yeah.
don't know if that's more that I'm stunned that Doom Patrol has a season 2 or that the DCU app has enough lifespan
Right.
left to have a season 2. I
Right.
don't know what their plan is for that, but I'm thrilled that we're getting more Doom Patrol. I can't believe how lucky we are.
Yeah, one of my staffers at the shop, this was her favorite show. She's queer and she loves like stuff with queer themes in it, and she was in love with this show as a sort of metaphor for being yourself and letting your freak flag fly.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
and
It
doing
was-
the right
yeah.
thing, not because you're some kind of I'm a hero, but just because you're a decent human being, and when presented with this situation, you've got to step up.
For me, I'm already into my top 10. I guess I would say this is number 9 for me. The Boys. I heard a lot of people recommend The Boys over on Prime, and part of me was just like, I don't know. Is it just going to be super machismo, like over the top, gritty? And the answer is yes.
It is, yes.
It is,
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was actually well done. It was funny. It was pretty quick paced, and it was just enough. I think they cut off in time that I wasn't getting like annoyed or tired of it.
Well, I hate this comic. I absolutely hate the comic of it, and I was worried that the show was going to be just like that, over the top, dumb.
Well, Garth Ennis, right?
Yeah, and I thought they did a much better job of the TV show of like their lead, their Superman guy is psychotic and crazy. But
It's the dude from Spartacus.
Yeah, and he's great in it. He's great in this.
Oh
And
wait, is it Spartacus? Am I right about that? It's
don't
the
know.
dude from Banshee.
Oh yeah.
Is he
yeah.
the same guy also from Spartacus?
I don't know.
Not sure.
Never watched Spartacus.
All right. Well, dude from Banshee.
Yeah. But he's really good. Anytime you can get who's the guy who plays Billy Butcher?
Oh yeah.
Judge Dredd.
Yeah, Judge Dredd. Anytime you can get him.
Anytime you can get him because he was great.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. Yeah. I thought that was a fun season of TV. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed The Boys a lot more than I thought I would because I don't think I hated the comic quite as much as Randy, but it's an artifact of the '90s that isn't going to hold up great if they had done it page for page.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was going to be worse than Venom is what I was really expecting. Was like this is just going to be a turd rolling down the street with no arms.
Right.
And instead it was a fucking blast. Literally, I think they blew a couple of things and people.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Next on mine is Shrill season 1. It's only 6
Oh, yeah.
episodes, but it's based on the writer Lindy West, and it's Edie Bryant from Saturday Night Live,
Mhm.
and it is basically about being an overweight woman in the world, and it's so good. It was funny. It was touching. It was sweet. Her parents.
Oh, God,
are
that's right. Her
both
parents are fantastic.
Fantastic. Is it Julie Sweeney?
And
And who's the dad?
it's not
It's-
Daniel Stern, is it?
It might be Daniel Stern. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they were both really really good. And just that second episode where she's at like the pool party and you're seeing sort of like the what it's like to be in a place where no one is judging you for your body.
Well, in the opening episode, I think she's putting on clothes, and it's not a sexy dressing montage,
No,
and it's
no.
not. It's just she's putting on clothes, and everybody I was watching it with, like everyone in the room was just like, "Yep, that's real. I've never seen that on TV before." You could tell immediately that this was representation that was not available and desperately needed. Like,
Yeah.
This show should absolutely solidify Edie Bryant as fantastic talent.
Yeah,
and
I
go
can't
way,
wait.
way past SNL.
I can't wait for season. 6 episodes was not enough. They
No.
really need more. And I can't wait for more than the 20.
One of the rare things that that my girlfriend's binge watched.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't watch TV like that. She doesn't want to watch 8 hours of TV the way I definitely will. And this was one of the things where she was like, "No, I'm sorry to take over our date night, but this is
Well, we're
we're
watching.
finishing this."
Yeah. What's next for you, Les?
I imagine that this is probably on Grant's list, but Umbrella Academy.
It's actually not on my
It's not?
list. So you
So-
can have it.
I did not give two shits about this comic. I'd never seen it. I know more about My Chemical Romance now than I did prior because they were a band after me.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
I'm definitely not in the generation that was at the sweet spot for that to mean all of the heartfelt, tearful, mascara running stuff that it's supposed to mean. But I definitely get the appeal of My Chemical Romance, and had I been in another generation, I see the appeal. But that was not enough baked in for me to be as excited about this show as marketing seemed to think we were all going to be.
Yeah.
I watched it and went, it's the X-Men. But since I no longer have the Gifted, and this is definitely more X-Men than the Gifted was to me, I was stunned. I think Ellen Page's character at the center of it was the least interesting thing about the show to me.
Yeah.
But that often happens, where the centerpiece of the show is kind of the least interesting bit.
There's a couple spectacular musical numbers. That end of
Yes.
season 1, the end of episode 1, where they do the music and they're all dancing. That's what hooked me more than anything else.
The Time Travel Kid was in number
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, number 5.
And because of his bullshit, the War Memories segment, like the War Memories segment that ends up happening because of one of the other brothers, and Klaus
Yeah.
has to live through Vietnam.
I love Klaus. Like that's the guy from Misfits.
Yes,
Yeah.
And he was
I
so
really
good.
came to love his character. I came to love all the siblings. They were just great. Luther's strongman suit looked a little too.
it looks so whack.
Freaking.
Well, in the
League of
comics, he's
Extraordinary
a-
Gentlemen bullshit.
In the comics, he's on the body of a gorilla. I mean, it's they had to do something, and I think that it's the best they could with the tech they had. So.
Just put a straight up gorilla suit on him then. What is this like just hairy arm thing?
Do you honestly think you'd have been happier with him in a gorilla suit?
Yes. Please.
But overall, I couldn't believe how happy I was with it, and I assume it got a season 2.
It
really
did.
better
It got a
because
season
the
2.
way that they end season 1 takes all of the time travel tidbits and wraps them up into one giant plot point moving forward.
Okay, so for my next one, I'm gonna say Rick and Morty. It's back for season 4, and it's as funny as always. I think that maybe there's a little bit of like part of my problem with it is it's hard to watch it on the Adult Swim app.
Yeah.
It doesn't play friendly with my Roku at all. Like I can't watch it there,
No.
so I have to log on
I have to
and
actually
watch it
put
on my
to
computer.
TV.
Yeah, and that's annoying.
Yeah.
So this is
Even
why
then
I'm.
it locks some of the episodes. I don't have cable, so.
Yeah, and I don't watch it. That's why I don't watch it live. I wait till Hulu gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm years off on Rick and Morty. I honestly, it didn't make my list, even though that is clearly a top 15
Yeah,
show, and it didn't even make my list at all because I forget it's on television.
yeah, same.
It's really funny though. The episodes that I've seen, I just want more of it,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit behind because it's a pain in the ass. The only holdup is their app,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of other great TV on at the same time. So there's a lot of competition right now.
Right.
But
Yeah, as
a
soon as
lot
we
of those
hit-
shows have just ended.
But when we hit step 2 or 3 of me trying to watch your show, and then I remember the other 5 shows that
Yeah.
I've not watched that people have told me are fucking awesome.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah,
I can watch this with touch of a button.
yeah, it's right here on
Yeah.
the Roku. Or have
Yeah.
I watched? Is there a new Mandalorian? Cool.
Yeah.
And those audiences don't annoy me as much as the Rick and Morty audience.
Right. Yeah. That
yeah,
doesn't
Rick
help.
and Morty is awesome, but then again, so is Star Wars fans.
Yeah. Randy, what you
Yeah.
got?
What We Do in the Shadows on FX. This was a great season. The movie is hilarious. It's Taika Waititi and the guy from Flight of the Conchords, not Brett. God, what's his name? The other one. I can't believe I'm blanking.
Jermaine Clement.
Thank you. I was blanking on his name. They did it was basically a mockumentary about vampires living in a house in New York, or I don't think it was New York. I think it was originally in New Zealand or whatever. But in the show, they recreated it. It's in New York, and they bring in Matt Berry, who is a British actor who you may not know the name off the top of your head, but you've definitely seen him.
He will always be the IT Crowd CEO.
Oh man,
One of
he's
them. but-
he's great in here.
Oh,
He's part of
so
a
good.
married vampire couple. They've got Guillermo, their familiar. I forget who their lead is, but it's vampires living in a house in New York, and they're all kind of loser vampires, but they're also doing all this crazy like Vampire the Masquerade stuff where they're going out and there's an ancient vampire living with them. They're being tasked
They've
to
got
like
an emotional vampire now.
yeah,
too, don't they?
yes, they do. An emotional vampire who just basically talks your ear off. It's a really fun show, and then every episode was great. And then they got to about episode 7 or 8, and they did this thing where they brought in all these actors who have played vampires, including Jermaine Clement is in there, but they make reference to like Tom Cruise, and they bring in actors who played vampires in various movies to be vampires. And they make reference to the guys who were too big to show up, and it's hilarious.
I can't believe I
amazing.
haven't seen this.
Oh, it's so good.
Do they do the swearwolves in the show?
There is an episode with swearwolves.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
Yeah. The movie's genius. The TV show might be better.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's really really good.
Less.
Let's see. We're getting into stuff that I know is going to be on y'all's top.
Gotta dance around it. Gotta dance around.
Yeah.
You knew
I'm
this
going
moment.
to say that sex education should be mentioned. I really thought that show was going to be kind of a derivative blah. A lot of what Netflix puts out is well made, but not great. You know, they're trying, but
Yep.
not everything's going to stick.
I thought it was all going to be about Gillian Anderson making sexy jokes, and that was all they had. But she's
And
honestly
she's a-
barely in it.
She is.
She's really
the
good,
mom,
but
and she's a terrible mom.
Yeah.
But she's great in this role. The show itself, though, I think is it Asa Butterfield?
it is as a Butterfield.
I know
Yeah.
he's Ender.
Yeah.
From the
It's Ender.
Little scene Ender game. This show caught me absolutely off guard.
Same.
It's so well done. It operates in this weird fantasy world that's not quite a British high school, but not quite an American high school.
Yeah.
Which infuriated some people, and I definitely get how it's odd, but it made it this odd universal faux world where the show could take place, and I absolutely loved it. There's a couple of moments, particularly I think Gillian Anderson as the mom follows him to a party that her son to a party that he's gone to, and with this lame excuse for why she needs to be there, and it's absolutely great. Like, it's both hysterically funny and feels very true, but in an exaggerated John Hughes comedy kind of way. This is the closest thing to a 2019 John Hughes comedy without running afoul of a lot of bad 80s tropes and jokes that wouldn't play now. I was really shocked how well they pulled this off.
Also, their gay character, their African American, their black gay character there's a moment with him and his dad that is just spectacular.
Shouldn't let this pass without saying that this is I think the best that both a black best friend and gay best friend have been handled on television
for sure.
in a long time. It's a fantastic show. I don't know if it's got a season 2 or not.
It has. It's actually it's coming out earlier in 2020.
Right. I saw an ad for it, and I couldn't tell if it was just a really late ad or a new season.
Yeah, no, there's more coming.
Sex Ed was wonderful, and everybody should check it out.
All right, I guess it's my turn. I'm going to talk about Euphoria. I'm not sure this is on either of your lists, is it?
I only saw the first episode.
No, this was told to me that it was great, and then it was explained to me what it was about, and I was like, wow, I don't want to watch that.
Oh, it is great. I thought it was a beautiful show. It's one of those that's it's emotionally heavy, and a lot that you would have to kind of go through, especially watching these just tragic experiences of these high schoolers. And so a lot of this is just kind of over the top.
Y'all were very somber after seeing the first episode at ATX Fest, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first episode was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But
I remember it kind of seemed like y'all had a Sharp Objects after.
I would make that same comparison. It was like, wow, that was dark. Yeah.
Agreed. But at the same time, I decided to go ahead and give it a shot, see what else it kind of does with it. And I found a lot, like the characters are all still really compelling. The performances were really powerful. And what it dealt with made me uncomfortable, but maybe that's not necessarily the worst thing for people to kind of confront these ugly aspects of humanity. It's absurd that this should scare me in a way, like, oh, I have kids, and like, oh, is this gonna happen to them?
Yeah.
Because they took like every tragic, like crazy shit that could happen and put it all into these like 5 main characters or whatever. And so, maybe 1 or 2, but it's really intense. It's really beautifully shot. How the music is integrated with the show, it's really well done, and I was surprised. I think it just caught me off guard. I didn't know that I was going to be so engrossed in this show, given the subject matter.
And this is on HBO, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're into my top 10.
Wait, we're in our like top 4 or 5, and
yeah. Well,
so how about you rattle off a couple here?
I did jump Stranger Things in, and I moved. I'm watching like 3 lists, and I moved the wrong list because I like lists. What do you want from me?
You love lists.
So I'm gonna say I'm Sorry season 2, which is on. I don't even know what the hell network it's on. It's on the Netflix network because it's on some weird network that you have to buy.
It's like True TV or something, right?
True TV, that's it.
It's
and
weird.
It's so good. It's Andrea Savage and the guy from That Thing You Do, who's Tom Everett Scott, as a married couple, and she's a comedy writer, and it's basically Curb Your Enthusiasm, but with a female lead. And it's so good and so funny and so out there. And there's a running joke in season 2 that pays off at the end that is so delightful that I was laughing for 5 minutes straight because you don't see it coming. And it's just the characters are really good. The writing is really good. It is very profane. It's very imaginative. Kyle and I both love the show. I fell in love with season 1 when it hit Netflix, and then I bought season 2 because I wanted to watch it immediately. So that's definitely high on my comedy list. And I'll sneak another one in just since I have a bunch here. I'm gonna go Letterkenny because that I know that's on my list and Les's list.
Les, do you also like Letterkenny?
I've never heard of this show.
It's a weird hat you have on there.
Ah!
It's a Letterkenny hat.
So Letterkenny, I guess technically season 7 is what goes on this year's best of?
Yes, technically I think season 7, the first season on Hulu, which I think you and I both kind of came to the show similarly. We were prepping for ATX Fest. Yep. I mean, this was at Fantastic Fest last year too, and people have been telling me for a year that I needed to go watch Letterkenny, but that's half of television. Like, we were constantly told, this is amazing, you got to go watch this.
I was hearing about this. I was hearing people talk about Letterkenny. I know what the fuck it was. People started talking about how great it was about 2 months before ATX Fest. And then I saw, they're going to be there on Sunday, so why don't I try and catch up? And I kept putting it off. And finally, the week before ATX, I'm like, okay, let's check out this Letterkenny. And there's 6 fucking seasons on Hulu. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Luckily, there are only 6 or 7 episodes each.
But it was still more than I could catch up.
Yeah.
But I watched like 3 episodes, fell completely in love with it, and was like, damn it, they were right. This is fantastic. And then shortly after at ATX TV Fest, I ran through it, and now I have no new Letterkenny, and it's a
Until
tragedy.
11 p.m. tonight.
Until 11 p.m. tonight.
At which point, season 8, which is 7 episodes long.
But I don't know how to tell people about Letterkenny, because basically it's dialogue based. It's running jokes. It's about a small town in Canada. Like, it does not sound like you would want to watch it.
Yeah, if Hee Haw instead of musical numbers had fistfights, I don't know how else to.
That is again not. I wouldn't sell it that way.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's not a very solid, but at the same time, it's not wholly inaccurate.
Yeah, no, it's not. You're right. It's a good comparison.
But yeah, there's not a great way to talk people into it. They either watch a few episodes and are down, or they're not. And
Yeah.
I absolutely understand. Similar to Dark Crystal, like I get not getting into this show. It just bit me.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in love with it. The language of it's so frigging rewatchable. It's why we've interviewed Yorkie
Yep.
from Randy's Shirt, as well as Sturt, and most of the
Yep.
principal cast, Katie and Squirrely Dan, and everybody but Wayne.
Wait, your shirt is in reference to Letterkenny?
My shirt is a Letterkenny reference. Yeah.
Oh, because it says Boomtown. I thought it was a reference to that show Boomtown, and maybe like a bunch of characters from there.
No,
Boomtown.
no.
Okay,
These are hockey players from Letterkenny. Yeah.
cool.
Schmaltz. Pheasant.
All right, Les, what do you got?
Russian Doll.
Russian Doll.
Not just for the use of the Harry Nilsson song, but that definitely helped. And Natasha Lyonne, who's always amazing, also helped. But Time Loop Show, like
That's your bread
Dark
and butter. You
Murderous
love it.
Groundhog Day. It's freaking awesome. Also with the weird, what's happening to the other kid? Are they trapped in alternate time? How it ended, I loved it. And I'll say it again. I love Harry Nilsson and was singing that song for like a month. I was so happy that it brought that back into popular culture for a minute.
It was a very fun, small little Netflix show.
Yeah,
Like
Kinda
it just
snuck up.
it just like dropped all of a sudden, and it was like, what's this? And that is a show where I think binge model. Yeah, that one is made for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me just
Her-
tear through all those episodes.
God, her thing of not wanting to go down the stairs. There's a lot of just really fun, delicious stuff that Natasha Lyonne is just perfect at playing.
Also, I think it was pretty tight
Am I
on
getting
its
her name
its yeah, Natasha
Okay.
Lyonne.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty tight on its
like 8
its
episodes.
loops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of like how the time logic works, which is difficult to do. A lot of people mess that up.
Yeah. I was very, very happy with the show. It was great.
Let's see. I feel like I don't remember what the 4 were, and I know one of my 5 left is not in that top 4 category. So if I were to say Barry,
Barry's not in the top 4. You're good.
sweet, I got it right.
Yeah.
Barry, dude.
It's also next on my list. I love Barry season 2.
It's Barry is amazing. Barry second season was bonkers. It was so good. I thought that I always try and sell that first season.
Yeah.
But the first season has the issue where you're not really sure what it is tonally at first, because it seems like this kind of lighthearted comedy like Hitman thing is like Gross Point Blank, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess in a way it is, but it has so much more weight to it, so much more pathos, what's going on, that really like hits home in the end of the season.
Yeah.
So when you're in the second season, you're on board with the stakes of what's going on here, how heavy it is, and how things are going to get really dark really quickly, and you're not going to walk away from this laughing.
That said, as much as I love the show when it's dark and dramatic and all that kind of thing, the episode that got me, the episode is maybe one of the best things on TV, is the episode with the stunt girl who they had this girl who can do all these stunts, and they're like, what can we do? And they built an episode around her that is so bizarre and weird and hilarious and dark, and it's just like, it is like a mini Coen Brothers movie in the middle of the season of TV.
I mean, yes, they definitely had an element of the story structure that they needed to address. They needed to have a pure relationship break between him and Fuchs, his handler.
Yeah.
And how they do that in the most comedic way, the whole thing just had me dying and just jaw on the floor like, what are they doing in this episode?
There were several shocking moments. The reveal of the corrupt cop and what he wanted from Barry and the way that Barry reacts to it was a great cliffhanger for that episode.
The amount of twists in this show remind me of The Shield in a way. It's like, oh, there's no way they can get out of that. Oh my God. what? They got out of it. I love it.
Yeah, just back themselves into a corner and write themselves out of it. I agree. I think that's one of the big things they do well.
And how short each, like, this is like 30-minute episodes. So it's like this delicious little bite of an episode that has you just dying for more. But I'm kind of grateful it is the format it is.
I have one minor gripe, and that is that they have Darcy Cardenet and Kirby Howell-Baptiste from The Good Place, and they don't use either of them well. And I think that's just because they don't have enough time. That's the only complaint I have about the show.
They were probably casting this as real background characters
Yeah.
before that, and they don't need to be crowbarred in just because it's hilarious that they just exist as big characters, because in a way, aren't they all just like half-assed non-actors in this world?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's even better that way. Randy, are we ready?
We're into my top. I've got a couple more.
Okay, run through yours, and
All
then
right.
we'll get to our. Oh wait, Les, where are you at?
I've got, I think, one more on mine that is not in our top. I came to Brooklyn Nine-Nine really late.
Oh, okay, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, so I've got Brooklyn Nine-Nine on mine. And I both came to the show late, but also I believe this year fully encompasses its jump to NBC.
That is correct.
Which both is a bit of a new show, but also it feels like it's kind of coming home. How is this not always on NBC? And I know we brought that up before, that it never felt like a Fox sitcom. At its best, it felt like it ought to be an NBC sitcom.
Yeah, I agree.
And it feels at home now. I waited really long on this show, and it's fantastic. I can't wait for more. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is absolutely spectacular sitcom television.
Grant, do you have any more that are not in the top four? You don't know what's in the top four.
I
remember.
know what's in the top 4, and I have them all earmarked. I'm done.
You're done. Okay, I have two more, and I'm shocked. I'm sure one is on Les's list. I'm shocked the other one isn't on yours. Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Did you fall off? You were doing a Star Trek Discovery pod.
Yeah, that should be on my list. My bad.
So
I did love that show.
Season 2, they did a bunch of time travel stuff. They had an AI bad guy. They deepened all the character arcs. I thought Season 2 was actually better than Season 1, and I love Season 1.
I may have to give it another shot because I didn't love Season 1. It was okay.
I was so into this, and I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan in the world. I've watched bits and pieces of every era, but I'm not like I couldn't tell you what has happened in most of those shows.
To be fair, that felt like that show came out like a year ago,
It
right?
almost did, yeah. I mean, it was early in 2019, but it was 2019, and man, was it good! It was such a good season of TV.
Well, this feels like as good a place as any to plug. Hey, I'm on another podcast, Star Trek Discovery Pod. You can listen to me talk about one of my clearly one of my top shows of the year that I forgot to even mention. Go to StarTrekPod.com. You guys can check that out. And as soon as season 3 comes up, we're going to be talking about that. And I think we're also going to be talking about Picard as soon as that comes out.
I was wondering if you guys were going to do Picard.
Yeah, we're
I'm
gonna talk
excited
about
for Picard.
Yeah.
So the only other show that's on my list that's not in our top 4 is You're the Worst, which wrapped with season 5 and was a perfect finale.
Yes.
Like-
that should be on mine as well, and I forget that wrap happened this year.
But I mean, not just a good finale for the show, but like one of those
It's one of
best
the best
finales
endings
of all time.
Any TV show.
Yeah.
It's
They have a great runner that's sort of showing you this future, and then by the end they reveal it's not quite what you thought it was going to be. It's funny, it's dark, it's really heart wrenching and gut wrenching the same way the show has always been. They paid off the character arcs really, really well, and it's sweet and romantic as well as being cynical and acidic. I don't know how you do that balancing act, but they did it for 5 seasons and they brought it in beautifully.
I've got a few on my list that are not. They were great shows. I don't think they cracked quite my top 15. Mindhunter season 2 was awesome. I loved it on Netflix. Good Omens was spectacular. I've been watching Evil on CBS All Access instead of Star Trek. And if you've ever loved any of Good Wife or Good Fight, any of the King's type of weird humor, Evil is basically Exorcist Files. And it's a lot of fun. It's got Luke Cage in the lead, and Asif Mandi, weirdly enough.
That's weird.
Santa Clarita Diet, which ended, was absolutely great just for watching Tim Oliphant mispronounce realtor. Politician, it was, I think Kyle nailed it. If you could have House of Cards directed by Wes Anderson.
Yeah. Politician is just outside my top 15. I really, really like that show.
I think the Wu-Tang Clan show on Hulu I don't know that it would actually crack my top 10. But I'm enjoying the living crap out of it. Like every week, I'm dying to see what happens next on Wu-Tang Clan. It's an absolutely fun show.
Is that still going?
They are on I think a hiatus right now. They've
Okay.
had 10 episodes maybe.
Because I watched 3 or 4 and really liked it, but I did fall off of it.
Yeah, and it's definitely one that I would save up and binge. It's a very enjoyable comfort food show. Catherine the Great has been spectacular. If you enjoyed Clark and Helen Mirren in Winchester, but wanted a better story, this is that. The Feed on Amazon. Did anyone else watch this or even see anything about it?
No.
No.
It doesn't quite nail the ending. It kind of shits the bed on the ending a little. But it is a spectacular long-form Black Mirror, basically.
Okay.
In a future where you can't believe anyone has ever been implanted with this thing, but you definitely understand that once society adopts this, there's not a turning it off. Everybody has the internet in their head like a grain from Black Mirror.
Okay. All right.
It's just like, that's a stunningly bad idea, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, The Feed was great. And of course, the Flarenominon.
No, that is not. No, we're
What
moving
just
on.
happened
That is
with
not
Fred
on.
Savage. Nobody?
That was so terrible. It's the worst show this
I don't
year.
think I know what this is.
Oh man, it was the worst show this year.
I think we did this to Grant on the actual episode where we discussed this.
As if the Flarenominon was a thing. Yes.
Right. And I still didn't know what it was,
It's
and
awful.
now I don't
That show
either.
was so bad, and there are so many more episodes of it than what we watched.
It makes me like Fred Savage less, which I didn't think was possible.
It really does. It actually damaged Fred Savage
Yeah.
for me a little, which is it's hard to do.
So should
yeah.
we jump to top 4?
I think we should.
All right.
All right, Randy, what do we got?
Oh,
What's our number 4? Number 4.
Reboot.
Number 4. Hang on, I gotta find it.
Oh, do you have to decide which one? Are you gonna like do a quick ranking of them?
No, I had to see where our list was because I lost it. All right. Number 4, if I'm correct on this, I believe is Fleabag. Is that right?
Yeah, that can
Okay.
work.
All right. So Fleabag season 2 over on.
That's the best show of the year.
I'm like
Yeah.
looking at Les. I'm like, Les and I probably would have put it higher
Way
than
higher.
probably what the other one would be in contention.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's
The
either-
Good Place has got to be number 4 is in my book.
Really? See, Good Place has to be higher for me. Should we just tell what the 4 shows are
We
and we can
should.
talk about them?
And then we'll fight
All
to
right.
death.
So there is a top 4 that we all slightly would put them in slightly different places, but any one of us would be happy with this as our number 1 show. Fleabag season 2, Good Place season 3 and 4 were both this year, I think. Watchmen season 1, and maybe only season.
Maybe.
And what's the other one?
The other one's Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, of course.
Mandalorian.
All right. I think Mandalorian is probably number 4 on that list.
I would no. I
No,
would
really?
say I would put The Good Place at number 4 for me.
It's interesting. Good Place is number 2 for me.
It's hard to separate, like we were talking earlier, it's hard to separate out this season from the show in general.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this has been my favorite Good Place season.
But the show as a whole?
The show as a whole is stunning in its wrapping up.
Right.
So, do you guys want to talk about Good Place first then?
Yeah, let's
Sure.
talk about Good Place.
Begrudgingly, sorry, Randy.
No, it's fine. We can talk about the Good Place.
Because the season 4
Yep.
for me, I still love the world. I love the characters, but I'm a little bit annoyed by how it feels rushed. They're rushing to wrap up this show, and I get that they're always on the cusp of cancellation every season. So it's a blessing that they should even get the opportunity. But at the same time, for a show that I loved how quick paced it was, now that we're getting toward the end, it feels like they had a lot more opportunity to explore this world that they created, and instead we got a lot of rehash of the first few episodes of the first season and the first few episodes of the second season, where they're just kind of going through, like they gave us another cast. And they're
not
kind
wrong.
of like exploring this other cast that I don't care about. I just want our characters.
You don't care about the Chip Driver mysteries?
I do not care about the Chip Driver
I enjoyed
mysteries.
this season, but it felt kind of placeholder to me because it was a new set of characters that I was not as
Interesting.
part
See,
into.
for me, the driving thing of this season is the Chidi Eleanor thing, because he doesn't know about her and she knows about him, and I feel like every bit of it was about that. Was about seeing Chidi interact with all these people in a different way than the way that Eleanor is interacting with him. I thought that was really interesting. Seeing Eleanor become the person who is not just the de facto star of the show, but is in fact the most important person in the universe because she's running everything.
Yeah, but don't you also feel like they cheapened it in a way because they put it on a back burner, like to focus more on the plot of these other 4 souls they have to save. And I don't know, I was just kind of underwhelmed by that aspect of it, and I wanted that relationship, and then they took it away almost to like spin the wheels for a few episodes.
See, it's interesting because I can't, just like you were saying, Les was saying it's hard to separate season 1 and 2 from season 3 and 4. I have a hard time separating the end of season 3, that heart-wrenching decision that Chidi has to make, where Chidi suddenly becomes the more confident person, is like, no, it's all going to be cool. Don't worry about it. And Eleanor's the one falling apart. The results of all that may not have been as good as you would have hoped for, but the decision to do that is the heart of what makes the show good to me. And so I'm willing to forgive a lot because they got that moment.
It's that the season after that moment hasn't felt nearly as strong as that moment to me.
I get that. And I think the problem is that's a tough thing to come back from.
Until they get around to the story that lets them touch on that moment again.
But I think that maybe it may almost be that instead of like ending with that they're ending too soon, that they're ending too late. That maybe that big moment was the climax of the show, and then that they should have just like wrapped the whole show.
Ruled that their love means that they changed enough, and
or done a couple episodes and done it big. I'm still loving every episode of the show. Like I still find every episode funny and thoughtful and thought provoking.
I just don't. It's not as groundbreaking to me as every episode of like season 3 was. I couldn't tell you, like the dude's name is not Chip Driver. That's the character.
It's
in
Ben.
Book. But I couldn't have told you any of the names of any of the people, including Chibi's other.
Oh, see, I love bringing her back in. I don't remember her character name either.
Her character's name.
But I love bringing her back in, and the arc they gave her where she doesn't believe any of this.
I love her like Wisconsin cheese hat walking around, foam finger craziness.
The funniest thing, like, okay, maybe I want to retract what I first said. Because maybe it isn't a matter of them wrapping things up too quickly. It's that they did not wrap up having those 4 new people, or 3 and Chidi people, that plot line up fast enough.
Yeah.
I think that they could have spent a couple episodes on that and then got to the point where we pulled Chidi back, or like focus more on the fact
the accounting department again.
Right, something like that. Like I think going into a little bit more of like the relationship of those core people rather than them all tending to a fire. I just had myself going like, what happened to the show? I know that we're right by the finish line, and this is what you guys are doing. And then I'm also annoyed that they end on this cliffhanger and they're making me wait like 5-6 weeks for this finale that hasn't come out yet.
No, that's NBC's fault. That's not their fault. They didn't plan that.
Crisis style. What the fuck?
Yeah,
but NBC keeps fucking us.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm clearly not as off on the show as a lot of other people are. I'm still completely in the tank for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just where I kind of fall as far as why I would put this at number 4. It's just I have gripes with this particular season. I love the show itself so much, and how they're going to the finish line is just bugging me. However, I do remember, like, at the end, like, thinking about how the last season of Parks and Rec wraps up, I was a little bit mad as well because, like, I don't want to let go of these characters. Things just started happening, like, where I knew that was happening. I was like, fuck you guys, don't take this from me.
Oh, man, I love the last season of Parks and Rec, too.
Right? Yeah. So maybe I'll come back and like this a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hate it so much that it's not only number 4 on your top 10 list.
Right.
All right. So what's number 3?
Fleabag.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go ahead, kick things off on Fleabag.
Oh, Fleabag's the number 1 show of the year. It's the best thing made on television. Both seasons are perfect, and nothing else can be done. All through ATX Fest, almost every interview, if I would overhear somebody or some table near me, another reporter would ask like, "So what are you guys watching right now?" It's just a great wrap-up question generally for all of these TV producers, and one after another, I think everybody making every other show had just watched or had just started binging Fleabag. And the common refrain was like, "And I'm just supposed to go back to my job? Like that didn't happen?"
I agree. Fleabag was profound. It was like it was
on other people.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a game changer in the television landscape for how other writers think of like how they can tell stories. And I mean, I know that it's a bunch of fourth wall breaking, but it's also just like performances that like upped the game of
Yeah.
everything that they were trying to tell and gave it such weight.
And then season 2 was just as strong as season 1 for me, and then actually does something that takes it further than season 1. They bring in the character of Priest and with Andrew Scott, and her fourth wall breaks become a connecting device. So where the fourth wall break is a way for her character to keep this sardonic distance from everybody. It becomes the unifying, like the bonding thing with her and this relationship, which is such a cool plot point, because every time she breaks the fourth wall, he's the only person at the table who goes, "Where did you just go just then?
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
checked out," and it fucks her up of like, that's my private space. Like how are you noticing? And he's the only person really paying attention to her.
Yeah.
And
Like it's such a coping mechanism that like
Yeah.
we now take it instead of her just like being snarky about things. This is her coping mechanism for not addressing like these true pains
and
that
he
she's gone through
follows
in
her
life.
To it. I absolutely love. It's such a small character development thing in a show that is otherwise hysterically funny and well acted.
Yep.
The stuff with her and her sister, the stuff with her and her stepmom, the whole stolen statue thing.
Oh, the way that pays off is
like,
great.
all of it's great, and then it's got little things like this that where I'm like, shit, Phoebe Waller-Bridge needs to teach classes, or some. Well, and the book of all the scripts is out now.
Right.
If you just want to go study this.
She needs to help write the next James Bond
Ooh,
movie,
that'd be
right?
good.
Isn't that what she's doing?
Yes,
That's-
yes,
yeah,
it is.
she's doing James
my
Bond.
favorite droid in the Star Wars universe as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Is she in the newest one?
She's
She's
solo.
in Solo.
She's the Falcon now.
She's the droid. She's Lando's droid.
Ah.
But
Which means
speaking
that
of Star Wars,
She was crippled and enslaved, and is now the navigation system for the Falcon.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Speaking of Star Wars, though, should we talk about our number 2 show?
Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, which one of the reasons it's up on number 2 is because Les was actively fuck this show before it came out.
Yeah, I did argue that, and this is probably how it beat out Fleabag, which is my own fault. But I did argue that there should be some extra weight on this because I had Star Wars alone is not just not enough to get me into this show. It's enough to make me not watch this show. I know I don't like the universe that it's in. I know I found the naming convention stupid and a lot of the backstory just dumb as fuck. So Mandalorian was not on my list. I finally watched it because I had watched all of the Kurt Russell movies and that darn cat kind of stuff off of, or Cat from Outer Space on Disney Plus, and I ran out of stuff to watch. I watched Noelle twice. And then,
Oh no.
And then I watched Mandalorian.
So I should say before we get too deep in discussion, I've not seen the final episode yet. So
Me neither.
we're not going to spoil anything because Randy will kill people. I'm super excited to watch it tonight. But I was expecting this show to be good. Jon Favreau is always good. Pedro Pascal seemed like a good
Couldn't
cast.
believe it, C-3PO under the helmet. I'm sorry.
And
That would be awful.
I thought this was going to be good, but and the funny thing is it's not great. Like it's not like Watchmen level or Fleabag level or anything inventive.
Right now.
It just does what it does very well. It hits its marks. They're like, let's do a TV show in the Star Wars universe that is unrepentantly Star Wars. It's got the Star Wipes. It's got the sort of low rent galaxy look that the original Star Wars had.
Someone went through and did a side-by-side frame from New Hope and like a shot from Mandalorian. And I mean, it looks barely color corrected.
Yeah.
Like the re-releases of the original trilogy look more different.
This is Star Wars, and also it's a Western. It's a samurai flick. Like
It's Lone Wolf and Cub.
yeah,
It is very much.
It's one of these things that should seem derivative because we've seen all of this before, but it's done with such joy. Baby Yoda was an invention, a marketer's dream, and is also just a fun character. But like they do these great action sequences. That shootout with him and IG-11, the first episode, is really good. The shootout with him and the Bounty Hunters Guild and the Mandalorians.
You know, it's funny. When I watched the first episode, we have a shared account, and I didn't realize where I was starting it.
Uh-huh.
So I started it right as he's looking. He's on the cliffs looking at the hideout, which is near the end,
Yeah.
right before the shootout. And I thought that's how the story's starting. So I watched it, and the episode wraps up in 5 minutes, and I was like, "Huh, that's a."
Efficient. And
Everyone
brutal.
really loved this. I mean, I thought it was good, but only 5 minutes long. That's a little bit cheap. And then I realized, I was like, oh shit, I missed like a whole 25 minutes of this
Yeah.
episode.
Also, I know some people are annoyed by all the cameos that happen in Mandalorian, but I love every one of them. I love Brian Posehn as the land speeder driver. I loved Amy Sedaris
Yeah.
as the mechanic. I love Bill Burr and and the guy from Moss from IT Crowd and all the guys and Tonks as and Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
and that,
all
which
of them.
what I think was probably one of the best episodes when he gets dragged into this sort of crime heist thing.
Super fun. And you love heists.
I love heists. Yeah. So this is really, really good. I'm fucking Werner Herzog is the big bad. That is so crazy. And he's not the big bad because the big bad gets revealed in episode
Right.
7, and that's even better.
Yeah, he's not the bad.
And man, I'm loving the show. I'm glad that season 2 I think is fast tracked. I think we might get it in 2020.
I'm stunned how good this fucking show
It's
is.
really good.
The
Especially,
show
I can't
is.
believe y'all haven't seen the most recent episode.
Oh, less quiet. Don't you dare tell us. The show is absolute candy. I think just
Yeah.
the joy of everyone's discussion about it.
Yeah.
And you're right. Baby Yoda, how that has just caught on as this precious internet, like everyone loves it. It's universal appeal. But at the same time, one of my favorite things about Baby Yoda is that Disney somehow fucked up and didn't capitalize on marketing merchandise for it
Yeah.
yet. And so they missed out on the holiday season, and I can still love Baby Yoda without being drowned in like everything being Baby Yoda like merchandise
Well,
everywhere.
the rumor I heard, and I don't know how true this is that Jon Favreau, when they were making the show, they saw Baby Yoda, and he's like, "Look, you can't make merchandise of this because that's how leaks happen."
So the newest rumor is that on Solo, Favreau told Glover about Baby Yoda on Mandalorian, and Donald Glover was like, "You have to keep that secret."
Interesting. Okay.
And so that the whole like, no, you need to start clamping down and don't tell anyone about that character. Stop everything about it. That needs to be revealed as a secret.
Well, what's interesting is the reason it works is that the reason you can see Disney like not giving up their holiday sales. First of all, they're gonna have holiday sales from now till 2050, whenever.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
In March, there's
And-
a Flesh coming out.
And they wanted this show to be huge because they wanted to launch Disney Plus off of it. So if he could say, "Look, giving that away is gonna tank some of the interest in this show, and you want The Mandalorian to be a huge hit, and one of the big ways to make it a huge hit is if Baby Yoda is a big reveal in
Mhm.
episode 1, and then you can see Disney's. If you can talk money to them, if you can convince them not on creative integrity but also on money, I can see how that could have been pulled off.
Like, it clearly was. I mean, there
Yeah.
was not a ton of Baby Yoda stuff this
Yeah.
Christmas. So
Love it. All right, our final one
Our number 1 for
is
the year
is Watchmen. I can't believe that would be like. I think you guys are just being kind to me and making this number one.
No, man, I watched this. This was the show I watched every Sunday night, almost live. I loved this show.
Yeah,
it does not. Okay, so the conversation Grant and I had off mic prior to this about how Watchmen could stand another season because there are threads laying out there
Sure.
and stuff that was not
Yeah.
handled right. Fleabag suffers from none of these problems and should be number 1. But continue.
I mean, no, like, agreed. I think,
But Grant brings up points about Watchmen that, unlike a lot of shows where they finish and you go, well, there was this plot and this, God damn it, there were a lot of things left undone. This isn't as fun for me now. Everything he brought up that is undone or problematic in Watchmen just makes me want to see a season 2 and how they'll fix it or address
Yeah.
it.
yes.
Well, and
As
also
opposed to shows that make me want to go, please don't fund a season 2 of this.
the thing about Watchmen that works so well is that first of all, you want to talk about an impossible task. Like following up Alan Moore's Watchmen in any kind of satisfactory way. We've watched tons of people fall on their face. Like I like the Before Watchmen comics just fine. They're done by fantastic writers and artists.
I changed the background.
I see. Yeah, no, it's fine. No, you just promote your side project that you left us for. It's fine. Yeah.
Welcome to Who Pod's Watchmen, everyone.
So
I'm going to be better at this than Beerists.
I've read the Before Watchmen stuff. It is done by, in general, really good creators, and it's fine. I've seen the Watchmen movie. It was probably the best movie we were going to get as a movie because fitting that all into 2 hours, all you could do was a slavish recreation. And it's pretty terrible, but that's because Zack Snyder's pretty terrible. But we've seen people fall on their face adapting is my point. And the notion of someone coming in and trying it again is definitely ballsy. And I thought Damon Lindelof, he's the right guy because he was so neurotic about it. You listen to the podcast with him and the Chernobyl guy, and you could tell that Damon Lindelof was terrified that he was going to fuck this up. And I think
Yeah.
you need that terror. Just like the giant squid terror psychic thing saved all of New York, Damon Lindelof's terror is what saved Watchmen and made it so good. You had to be afraid he was going
Fun
to fuck
fact,
up.
everyone who worked on the movie actually has a psychic issue with bringing up the IP at all. And
But
I mean, yeah, this show was everything I hoped a Lindelof project would be, with the maturity of his projects as he's progressed, the lessons that he's learned. My one gripe is this idea that it's going to be a one and done season, and that is because I've invested a lot in the idea of being able to do a podcast on the second season. No, but seriously, I do think that how it resolved in that in the first season leaves a lot of open-ended questions that are a little frustrating to me. Like I think that I don't feel like it tied everything into a nice tight bow in a way, and I'm like, no, I need more of this.
If nothing else, I want this in the top 4. I want this in the top 4 or 5 because of this stuff.
You had to talk out right there.
Yeah, I want this show to be in the top 4 or 5 because of stuff like this. These are 3 records that exist in the fictional universe of the show of Watchmen that they actually got Trent Reznor and
Atticus Ross.
Atticus Ross. I don't want to call him Atticus Finch every fucking time. They actually got them to make music, like fake music inside the fake construction of this fake show. I love shit like this. I love stuff that expands a fictional universe, and the fact that these actually got pressed on vinyl and sent out with all of this extra news clippings from the time as if all of it was happening. You've got my number. I mean, you could make, even if Watchmen, the TV show itself, had actually not been that fun, if they had just produced all this stuff, I would be arguing for it. The fact that they produced all this stuff, and also, if you didn't see a stitch of this, it is still one of the best things I've ever seen on TV.
So I'm the only one who's arguing against the season 2 of Watchmen.
Yeah, and I would like to hear why.
I'm worried they'll fuck it up. It's such a perfect season of television. I'm worried that if you come back, you'll do.
But that exact argument would have kept it from existing in the first place. This is a wholly unnecessary sequel to a comic.
I know. And that's the thing. Like, if they make a season 2, I will watch it, and I will be just as gleeful as everyone else when they announce a season 2. But I won't be disappointed if they don't, because I feel like this was such a perfect season of television that I don't need to see. I don't need to see whether or not Angela is Dr. Manhattan. I don't need to, and I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I want to see that story. I don't need to see more of Looking Glass. I don't need to see what happened to Dan Dreiberg. I don't need to see what happens to Veidt at this point. I don't need to see any of it. I'm so happy with where they left it. But that's also true. Like you said, that's true of Watchmen. And then they did this sequel, which is amazing and gave me stories I didn't know I wanted.
See, I trust in Lindelof that if he has an idea, he will know what to do with a second season. I think, though, that he has... I think in a way he's a little bit of a broken creator.
Yeah.
He suffered an ego blow. I think he had a real tough time with Lost right at the start because it got so big and he was thrown into this like, oh, J.J. Abrams was like, you take over this show, you youngin'. And he's like, holy shit, I'm in over my head. This is like the biggest show on television and like, what do I do? And so that's why some people have some issues with like the second season where it feels like it's spinning its wheels. And that ends up getting resolved later. But also then people don't like how he finished the rest of the show.
Yeah.
As a result, when he moved on to doing his next television project, The Leftovers, not only he starts off the show with like, hey, our theme song is Let the Mystery Be, or at least that's in the second season. Yeah. It's like, let the mystery be, because we're not going to answer some stuff. This is going to get into the metaphysical like questions of existence and our relationships and how we deal with grief and stuff. We're not going to answer all of these mysteries. But like he learned lessons there. He brought in people who didn't like Lost to his writers team to help him grow as a writer and move in different directions where like they could kind of course correct that. And similarly, he doesn't like working with like the same actors and same people. So he brought in some new people for this show. And I think it helped drive him to want to address like really wrap up and resolve everything into like a tight package. Where I have a problem is, I don't think he wrapped up everything into a tight package because I think he brought up a lot of issues that still need to be resolved in a second season. I can address that in a second. But B, that dude is flowing in creativity, and he's also not a one-man show. He is like, it's a writing team that
for
is
sure.
creating this.
Yeah.
And so they will definitely have more ideas for what they can do in this world. They've invested in it. They've constructed a really fascinating new take on the superhero genre that is grounded in a believable world, and I think is needed as a sort of ancillary or counterpart to what's going on with like Marvel and DC. And I like it.
I get that. I think Watchmen, as it stands, Watchmen is a 12-issue series that concludes and is one big story. And it took 30 years before we got a satisfactory sequel. So if someone else wants to come and do a Watchmen show in 30 years and do a whatever the crisis of that time is and address this and touch on it, that I'm more interested in than seeing a season 2 from this creative team. Like I said, I will absolutely watch it because I'm sure they will do something interesting, but I feel like the story as it was told is complete, and I don't necessarily want to see those threads resolved. I don't want to see every granular detail touched on. I don't want to see them dig into all these questions. I'd rather they let the mystery be.
What do you think, Les?
I would have said I didn't need a second season, but then after a short conversation with Grant, now I kind of want to see a few of these things answered.
Did he have like a flashing flashlight? Did he make you hang yourself?
He did. Actually, that was one of the things. Anyway.
No, I can go into that. So like here's what I have an issue with.
Okay.
They present the big question for the season of that, or in the very beginning, they present like this is going to be a conversation about race and race relations.
Yeah.
And I felt like by the time we got to the final episode, this did a number similar to like True Detective, where they said, oh, sure, there's like the occult and all the stuff going on with the Yellow King, but that doesn't really matter. It's actually just a monster of the week kind of thing. And all Lady True wanted was to just become, Dr. Manhattan. And I was like, well, what happened to everything that you guys were talking about how you can remember the past and you can kind of relive these memories? What's going on with nostalgia and how that has potential to be weaponized? What happened to the mind control device and mesmerism, and how that might be a way of either a reckoning with the past or kind of turning the tables.
But those are all the superhero elements that make Watchmen. Like I don't need that explained or explored. And they're not gonna explain and fix race relations in this show. I mean,
no, but
it kind of faded away as like the cavalry became his henchmen to do this Dr. Manhattan thing, and suddenly like that might work for the cavalry guys in the room with Keen.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of 7th Cavalry out there that are true believers, and all of that's still going, and it fell away from the show's main plot. I felt like they kind of rushed towards, especially with the stigmata, Lady True becoming a like this absolute villain.
Like some Antichrist villain, right?
And I also I think there's no way that there's not another Lady True, Dr. Venture style in a series of vats that are getting her memory right now.
Right.
Because there's no way that her whole plan and that entire clock could possibly hinge on that body dying, fucking it up. There's a clone of Lady True inheriting her money right now.
Yeah.
And some of her memories.
Yeah. And then it just seems like not only did they not fully address that issue, but there was just other like lingering questions going on. Like, I want to see like what's going on with Dan Dreiberg and Adrian Veidt. Are they going to be living together in jail? Is what's going on with all the clones in Europa? Like they left a bunch of lingering threads for a bunch to explore in this world. But one of the things that like disappointed me was this seemed to be this big treatise on the complications of masks and of power and how this corrupts. And for them to kind of resolve this in a cliffhanger bullshit way of having Angela have the egg, crack it open, and we don't find out what happens with it. What really should have happened was either Angela has that egg and she says, no, I've learned the lessons of the past. I don't want the power, and she throws away the egg. Or show us what happened with it, one or the other, but don't have that mystery be that she embraces, but we don't know where that leads.
I disagree.
Because then she shouldn't have taken the egg. Like, what's the point of the whole speech? What's the problem with the mask and her taking off the mask? And what's the problem with like Dr. Manhattan saying like having those god powers removed him from humanity? Like he was dead to the world. I don't know. Something's like
I
annoying me.
disagree. I feel like nothing ever ends. That's one of the mission statements of Watchmen.
Right.
And you're wanting solutions to bigger questions, which I don't think is the purview of Watchmen. It's not going to solve how do you deal with, race war and that kind of thing. They can't solve that. That's a bigger problem. It's always going to be there. And by the same way, you can't really solve vigilante justice and, is it right or wrong to wear a mask? That's a more complicated question than a yes or no. And no matter how many seasons of TV you get, you're never going to resolve it.
So at the start of season 2, when Angela's used the power of Dr. Manhattan to just do some bug shit crazy stuff and like fix race relations, authority style, and then we get a whole season of just how phenomenally wrong that can go.
I'll watch it. I mean, I absolutely see where it could be interesting, but I also feel like for me, there's no questions that I want or that I think they can answer that I need answered in a season 2. Whereas this one season of TV, I was wrapped up in it every week, figuring out what they were going to go, where they were going to go. Some of the crazier theories about what was going to happen, I didn't need them to pan out. I love that they were there, like Lady True being the daughter of the woman, the comedians. Yeah. Like there was stuff.
Or Will being an elephant. He got transformed into an elephant.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. And I didn't need it to be as crazy. And I feel like that's some of what happened with Lost is people got so invested in their own theories and their own, what is this happening? And it wasn't crazy enough. And then they were disappointed in what they got. And the more you go with Watchmen, the more crazy theories are going to develop and the more disappointment you're going to have. Whereas right now, I don't think there's that much disappointment.
I'm realizing.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just thought that they established a larger conversation that I thought that they were going to be a little bit more ballsy and try and tackle in the end season. And I know you're not going to like end race relations, but I thought taking a big swing at something like that rather than what felt like a little bit more of a mediocre resolution of her just trying to become the next Dr. Manhattan and then ultimately failing, it made the stakes feel a lot more small scale. And I would counter that in the comic book The Watchmen, they did take a monstrous swing with dropping a squid to end the nuclear arms race. That seems like going big time, where this felt like, it reminded me of like the Fantastic Four movie, where like you think like everything's like this big world spanning thing. And at the end, it's just like a little brawl in the streets of New York City. And I'm like, huh? It's just like they toss each other through a few trash cans and that's the end?
It's interesting. I get what you're saying. I was super happy with the finale of the show. I thought it was a pretty much perfect finale. I will say that while I love a good ambiguous ending, like I loved that they stopped before she hits the water.
Oh, I hated that.
But I would have loved just as much, possibly more, if she had splashed into the pool with no powers. That would have been amazing if that had been the last shot.
That'd be hilarious, in fact. Because and even then, you wouldn't still know. Like, how long does it take for an egg to activate or whatever?
But it would undercut the show to end on a comedic moment. And I think I'm glad they didn't do it.
Especially if they'd froze the frame with their mid splash and then thrown up Damon Lindelof.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm realizing I don't so much want more Watchmen because it's going to be problematic and tied to what I really want is this entire writing crew to do Astro City.
Oh God, yes.
Which could run endlessly.
That's my argument, and I think Grant, you made a good point about this on Facebook. We talked about this, that I want him to work with this cast. I want to see more Tim Blake Nelson. I of course want to see more Regina King.
And I want this writers' room directing.
You want anthology or something?
But I don't want Watchmen. I want them to do a different property, maybe something original.
What if they did anthology style, where it's the same actors but different characters in the same world?
No, I don't want that.
Show me Dollar Bill getting caught in the door, man.
but you said he doesn't generally work with the same actors on different projects.
That was one of the things
Regina
he said.
King was like the only one brought forward from
Leftovers.
Yeah, only because he didn't.
He's like, well, she was a background character, or whatever justification he said.
Yeah.
So, if the next season of Watchmen just jumps to a different time period, and we don't get Jean Smart, we just get a different actress in a different part of Laurie's life, and we get to see comedian, or we get to see.
I would rather see that. I would rather see a story. I would rather see an arc that is revolving around Dan Dreiberg in jail and providing police technology and all that kind of thing. Like, I would like to see a more stories in the Watchmen universe. and maybe you could touch on some of the stuff from here that is unanswered as side plots. But I don't want to see a straight continuation of what they did here. I think that would be a mistake. But like I
20
said,
years in the future, we get to see the Justice Society that Lube guy is leading.
I will watch Watchmen season 2 in a heartbeat. I thought this was a fantastic season of TV. I thought it was easily the best thing on TV this year. And honestly, it's high up on my best of the decade list. Like, it is fantastic.
It is truly good TV.
Also, the real lube man is the friends we made along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself, but I'll try. Folks, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for our Best of TV 2019. This has been a great year of TV. I think, Randy, you were saying, like, this is just one of the best years.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a lot of good TV this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Crazy X ending at all?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely phenomenal year. I feel like even with this list that I probably cold forgot an entire show.
Yeah, 3 or 4 shows had great endings this year. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's that Fred Savage show.
Flare-nomenon.
The
Flare-nomenon. So thank everyone for tuning in, and next year it's going to be back to garbage television. That's what, it's all downhill from
Just
here.
Fuller House from here on out.
And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up, right, guys?
TV Dudes out.
TV Dudes out.